Now, as a night shift worker, how are you going maintaining your relationships with not only your friends, but also those who you're romantically connected with? Now, I've been in your shoes. I still am the night shift worker who's trying to maintain these relationships when sleeping during the day. But I've also been on the flip side. When Dan worked nights, I was the one left at home. So I've got an interesting perspective on what it's like to be on both sides. And throughout this video, I want to give you some tips on how to keep these relationships alive, because I don't think night shift has the right to interfere with the people who you love and make you feel good. Now, in order to maintain relationships with anyone, we first have to look at ourselves. When we work nights, what are our moods? How do we behave? I know when I'm on nights, I am super prickly and get annoyed really easily. And I think it's because I'm probably sleep deprived, or I just think I'm missing out on things and I'm angry at the world, which is totally and utterly unfair for anyone I live with or anyone on the other end of the phone. So before we move on, I want you to ask yourself, when you're on nights, what happens? Do you get mad? Do you get frustrated? Are you short-tempered? And what can we do to first address those problems? Do your housemates and those you live with purely just need to give you some space? Or do you need to go and do some exercise, meditation, cooking? We talk about a bunch of other strategies throughout this video, but it's a good time now to start thinking about some ways that you can moderate your mood. Now, I mentioned earlier that a lack of sleep can cause serious strain on our relationships. We get mad, we get moody, we get frustrated. So for tip number 2, I want you to think about your environment where you sleep. Have you set it up to enable yourself to have the best day's sleep possible before you start blaming somebody else if it doesn't quite work out to plan? Are you wearing earplugs? Have you considered getting a white noise machine that can maybe block out some of that noise? Or have you considered getting a Bluetooth eye mask such as this one that easily connects to your phone and you can play any music you want, which can drown out that noise that your housemate's making? Now, we compared this eye mask to a bunch of other ones in a video we recently produced, which I'll link in the description below this video. Now, if you've tried all these things and noise is still an issue for you, can you consider maybe relocating your bedroom to somewhere else in the house? Is there maybe a basement that you can use and set up as a bedroom? Is there a spare room that you can maybe utilize while you're on nights? Or is there a friend or family member close by who's got a spare room that they're not using that's a little bit quieter than your current setup? If none of these options work, it's time to chat to your housemates and let them know that you're struggling because of noise. They might have a great suggestion for you. Maybe they can help you soundproof your bedroom, or they might be even able to go into the office on the days that you're on night shift to allow for a quiet environment at home. If they work from home, this is obviously not an option, but they might be able to structure their day and maybe organize for majority of their meetings to be in the afternoon, allowing you to at least get a couple of hours of quiet, beautiful sleep before they start having meetings. So speak up, but just remember when you're having these conversations to be kind to each other. You're living with each other because you're either friends or family or they're your partner. You guys are on the same team, so be kind and try to work out a solution that works best for everyone. If you're enjoying these tips so far, we would love you to join our community by subscribing to this channel. We would like nothing more than to help you be the happiest, healthiest shift worker you can, because man, we know how hard this can be. Are you about to dive headfirst into a heavy conversation that you know is going to stir up some emotions in the other party that you're talking to, whether that be your friend, partner, kids, whoever? My tip here is to really think about the timing of these conversations. If you wake up feeling terrible because you've slept really poorly during the day, is that really a smart time to start this conversation? Are you really thinking clearly when you've only had 2 hours sleep? Is it best to maybe wait until you've got a couple of days off? You've let the dust settle a little bit, and if you're still feeling this way, then bring it up during that time. If you don't have days off for maybe a week's time and that is just too long, you need to talk about it, then organize maybe a phone call on your way to work. Pre-organize this chat so your partner or your friend know it's coming. Don't just spring it on them, then start screaming at them down the phone. Give them time to prepare. You can take some deep breaths before you talk to them and talk to each other in a calm way and work out a solution. Don't put this stuff in a text message. Angry text messages, they just don't get anywhere because the emotion that you're feeling or not feeling may come across differently in a text because we can't understand tone when it's written down, unless you put 1,000 emojis, I guess, but that doesn't help either. As night shift workers, it can be really challenging to have these difficult conversations because we have very limited time to actually spend with our loved one. So we do have to do a bit of planning, which may seem a little bit twisted to plan a heavy conversation, but it's something that I know for Dan and I has worked really well for us. And I find that the outcome generally doesn't involve slamming doors or us yelling at each other, and we resolve an outcome quite quickly. But when you're in the moment and you are so angry, how do you let off some steam? Maybe you exercise. Can you drink some herbal tea? Can you light a candle or use aromatherapy? Can you meditate? Can you read a book? Can you do some cooking? Can you just separate yourself from that person and maybe walk around the block or just go into another room? Can you put on some comedy and have a laugh? Now, I want you to think about these de-stress techniques. Does any of those work for you? Or maybe there's something else that you use. Be prepared to go to that safe space when you do get mad, when you haven't had much sleep, and the timing's not right to bring up something serious. My next piece of advice here is to remind yourself what you are actually working the night shift for. Are you trying to buy a new car? Are you saving up for the next vacation? Or are you purely just trying to make ends meet and you need to work to pay the mortgage or to pay the rent? Constantly reminding yourself about why you're fronting up to work each day can help put things into perspective. It's easy to start saying, I never see you, you're working too much. But the reason why you're working so much is to pay for that thing you're saving for. So it can really help put things into perspective. If you don't know why you're going to work, now's a really good time to maybe do some budgeting or to set some goals and to figure out what you're actually working for. So for this next tip, I want you to become a cheerleader. Now, not obviously in the literal sense, but you can if you want to. I mean to start being the biggest fan for your friends and family in what they're trying to achieve. For example, in the last year or so, Dan's got really into Pokemon and trading cards. I have no interest in Pokemon cards or trading cards or anything of the sort. Didn't do it as a kid, don't care about it. But he loves it. So I have to be the cheerleader for him and support him in this. Your friend or family member might have started this new diet that you have never heard of, and suddenly the fridge is full of foods that you've never even seen in your life. Now, instead of getting mad that it's now taking up fridge space, ask them about the diet. What do they want to achieve from it? What is the food restrictions? Even if you don't care, be interested for them. Be proud of them that they're trying to lose weight and putting their health first. But as night shift workers, this can actually be really hard to do because once we get home from a shift, they might have already left to go to work. And in the afternoon, we're super groggy sometimes when we wake up and dinner's being cooked and there's lots sort of happening in the afternoon. And to actually have these really deep, sort of kind conversations are hard to come by. So we need to be clever and think of strategies that can help us stay connected when we are on nights. For example, can you organize a breakfast date with those you live with before they go to work? Can they maybe start their day an hour later so you can connect when you get home from a shift? Can you organize to have a nice dinner before you go for a shift? Sit outside, lay the table, like really make an effort. Can you put things in your diary when your housemate or your partner or something has something going on in their life? Put it in your diary to remind you to ask about it. When you're meal prepping, can you cook a little bit extra? Put it in a container and leave it in the fridge for them with a little note saying, enjoy your dinner. These little acts of kindness can go a long way when trying to maintain your relationships. My next piece of advice is a quick one, but I have to tell you that your housemates, your friends, your partner cannot read your mind. You might be so frustrated about something, such as someone putting the TV on too loud while you're trying to sleep, someone vacuuming, mowing the lawn, making an excessive amount of noise while you're trying to sleep. Now, you might be mad about it, but they think you can't hear it because you haven't told them. A quick story here is when I first started working nights, I used to come home from work and Dan never made the bed, and it used to annoy me so much getting into a bed that wasn't made. So for ages, I put up with this and I just got so mad every time I got into bed. But finally, I brought it up with him. And since then, he now pulls down my side of the bed and he puts a nice warm heat pack in so it's ready for me. And it has been a game changer. I go to bed so happy and not stressed, and I love him even more. So speak up. They cannot read your mind. Now, my last but really important tip when working nights is to make an effort. If you do only have a tiny little window of time to spend with your loved ones, use it wisely. Put your phone down, turn the TV off, and be present in the moment with them. Laugh, have a good time. Don't take each other too seriously. Don't pick fights when you don't need to. If you've only got this tiny little window of time. Whilst talking about making an effort, we have to put time into our own development and to ourselves. If you're giving up on yourself by skipping exercise, eating poorly, not making the bed, you're not showering regularly, you're not doing your hair, you can't be bothered shaving, all these sort of things, to your partner, it makes them feel like you're giving up on them. And you don't care about growing your relationship because you can't even look after number one. Now, I know night shift can be really tough, but for the sake of your relationships, you gotta stick together. Now, I hope I've given you some helpful strategies and techniques that you can use within your own relationship, because like I said earlier, night shift has no place in interfering with what we think's important. Thanks again for checking out this video. We'll see you at the next shift.